Greetings all and welcome to Margin Call, the podcast and editorial meeting for Kwest Media. I'm your host, Russell Morse. Greetings everyone. I know I say this all the time, but tonight is a very, very, very special episode of Margin Call. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I mean it every time I say it. I say this every time I say it that I mean it. But this time is special because we're live. We've never done this before. We've never recorded live. We're on Zoom. We're on
High
Facebook.
stakes. High stakes.
It's high stakes, folks. Can't drop the ball on Facebook Live. Everybody always goes on there really well prepared and scripted. So I want to make sure I do honor to this. But I mean, the most exciting aspect, of course, is that this allows us to have callers, right? We can have anybody call in if they want. I wonder about the Zoom meeting. Is it a possible, might we get Zoom crashers? I know that this was
I don't know. I thought about that too, but I figured it's Margin Call. We've had weird shit happen before.
That's
Why
true.
not just hit that bump in the road,
It's probably for the best. I mean, I would think we get a Zoom crasher. That's just content. You know what I mean?
We got Zoom crash.
Zoom crash.
We're that important. Huzzah.
Although a lot of Zoom crashers, from what I understand, are not very pleasant, right?
No.
It's just like a
Racist,
close-up of
bad.
Right. A lot of close-ups of just genitalia, right?
Well,
is that part of it? Sometimes?
We can't see them because it's a phone call. So joke's on them.
Oh, that's true. We might get a heavy breather. Heads up, folks. We might get a heavy breather.
That's very possible.
Shout out to Eming, our producer, first of all, for organizing this. It's a very exciting day. If this works, which, no promises, but if this works, this might be something that we do moving forward. Or
will get me fired. I don't know. We'll see.
Keep your eye on our Instagram page so you can find the call-in information because we have a lot of listeners. We have listeners all over the world, and there's never been an opportunity for us to welcome callers. And my favorite format of radio is the call-in show. And now it seems like I'll be able to I'll be able to be a part of it if we get call-ins. It's totally possible that nobody calls, in which case, what did they say? What if they have a war and nobody comes? I guess there's no war. What if you have a call-in show and nobody calls? Then you just get, Russell and Eming fill in the air, which is what people want.
We've done it before, just not live.
It's kind of a win-win situation, I think, Eming. We get no calls, and we get to just hang out and vamp for an hour.
Quality time.
Or we get just a deluge of calls.
Maybe.
Who knows? Famous people. It's a big world. Our internet page has a lot of reach.
Happen.
We've got at least 60 followers. So,
We have more than that. We have over 100.
Oh, I was joking. I was saying that as a joke.
well, come on, give us some credit. We have.
I'll have you know that we have over 100 Instagram followers.
It's 200 something, I think, but just
200.
Just FYI.
Is that including bots?
I don't know. I don't go through it, but
I'm gonna have to check that out. Maybe the bots will call, in which case another great opportunity. No, I'll just give them my social security number and whatever other information they need.
Let's do that. Let's just give them the Kwest debit card and be like, here, we don't need it.
What's that? My son's been arrested for drunk driving and you need me to wire you $2,000 right now for bail? Never mind that I have no son. Where can I send the cash? Yeah.
By the way, we have 3 people watching right now, just so you know.
Oh, nice. Let's shout them out. Who's watching?
I don't know. I can't see. It just says, Travis is on here, and my friend from elementary school, Peter Ty. Hey,
Travis.
Peter.
Travis and Peter Ty. Big shout out to Travis and Peter Ty. I reached out to Travis individually to see if he could come on the show.
He said, I couldn't resist.
He sounded like he had exciting plans, which I was in no position to argue with. I won't read the full text message, but I think a little bit of context is in order. He said that he could not make it tonight because we're celebrating Boo Thang's birthday tonight.
Oh, Boo Thang?
Well, you heard it here first, folks. And Travis, if that message was not for public consumption and I just fully put you on blast, all apologies.
He can.
But I guess what's done is done. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, as they say.
He can yell at you later because aren't we going to see him tomorrow on Zoom?
Yeah, we are going to see him tomorrow on Zoom. I find that I don't have enough Zoom meetings in my life. So
Just gotta add them in, like just random ones that for no reason other than like
yeah, I'm
socializing.
just, whoever, I might even start Zoom crashing. I've got about 3 a day for work, about 1 a day for school. We've got this one. I mean, the majority of my life takes place on Zoom.
He said that's fine. Travis, I mean.
Travis said that's fine. Well, that's good. Ask him, Travis, can I read the rest
Ask
of the
him.
text messages? Travis, you did send a few after that. I'm wondering if you want that to be shared on air as well. I've read your poetry, so I know that you're not shy about your personal life.
The delay, so it might take a minute.
It's a delay. He's thinking. Well, he has to put it in caps lock before he says, hell no, you damn idiot. Don't read the rest of those text messages.
Cowboy dumbass.
Welcome, y'all, to Cowboy Dumbasses. Reads his text messages.
He says, sure.
I can't read that. Somebody's mother might be listening. I'll just give you the abbreviated version because we did coin a term together. I think he's going to have a nice evening with his boo, and I'll leave it at that. He'll be busy.
That's super watered down, isn't it?
Yes, his mouth will be occupied, I guess we could say. Is that a tamer way? It's tamer than what he said.
I don't know. You know me.
Eating. They're eating dinner. I'm talking about.
I have a dirty mind. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Like, just go.
They're going to be eating. So, keep your mind in check. Okay.
I don't know.
We're living in a different time.
Vague. That's not my fault.
You filled it in with your filthy mind. That's fine. So speaking of filthy minds, let's talk about Disney World.
Great segue.
I'm here for the segues,
dubs.
folks. Disney World is in the news, of course, because they're open and people are going there. And I shouldn't have to tell you anything more about that, but I will. As everybody knows, we are deep, months deep into a global pandemic in which people are encouraged not to gather in any crowds. In fact, don't even get near your grandmother. If you're having a picnic, sit 6 feet apart. You can only eat outside with a plastic partition. And yet somehow Disney World has decided to welcome thousands. Is it fair to say thousands? Thousands of people wearing Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah.
Do we have a caller? Is that
No? Amelia was just there and then she disappeared because I think I waited too long. I didn't see her till just now. Now she's gone. Amelia, come back.
classic Amelia.
Damn it. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I don't mean that as a criticism of the Disney Corporation. I consume almost all of their products and I love them. I've been to Disney World. It's a blast. I've also been in Disneyland. But, this is also a geographic concern because Florida kind of seems to be outdoing itself every day in terms of their contraction numbers, their COVID numbers every day. I mean, everybody knows this, right? I'm not giving you information you don't have. I just need to let people know why it's relevant to be talking about Disney World right now. I don't know who it is that's made the decision to go to Disney World. I wonder if they're wearing masks. I guess, does Disney World require you to wear a mask at the front? Mm-hmm. Does it count? Like here's what I wonder. Those people who dress up like, Princess Jasmine. I guess I just pulled that one out of the sky. Just of all the characters that people dress up as, I just thought, is Princess Jasmine wearing a mask? And if so, how does that taint a young person's experience at Disneyland?
Well, so I know someone who actually went, I think, this week, and she posted some stuff on her Instagram, and the thing that I saw was like a big like, how they have those things, those floats that go through like during the afternoon shifts and whatnot, and they had them all up on this big platform separated by like more than 6 feet each, and they were just waving. I didn't see any masks on them, but there was like a really small crowd around them, like how you used to like big Disney crowds. This was like It looked a little sad. Like, well,
they're not bringing in the full capacity, right?
Yeah, I know. It just looked weird. I was like, this is not what it's supposed to look like. It's a parade, man. It was just odd. It was just very jarring, and like this is like, it just felt like we were in some like horror film. It
does feel like we're in a horror film. Not my favorite genre of film, as you know.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But this would be a good premise, I mean, there have been plenty of Disneyland films. Beverly Hills Cop 3, anybody? any of our people on Facebook see Beverly Hills Cop 3, it's set entirely at a fictional Disneyland. Disney, of course, did not agree to be the real Disneyland. So there was the whole movie was just roasting Disneyland. But of course, that was in the pre-COVID era. I mean, I'm not very interested in like mask shaming, crowd shaming. You know, I think everybody should wear masks. It's the right thing to do. You know, don't hang out in large groups, whatever. I'm not saying anything irresponsible. It's just like, I'm not the kind of person, I'm not very snitchy. I don't have a very snitchy bone in my body, you know, so I don't like calling people out. I do find it curious though. Just because it seems like of all the activities that we might sanction, we seem to be going kind of slow. You know, like I got very excited the other day because I was like, ooh, I'm going to eat lunch on a sidewalk patio, which in New York City, a sidewalk patio, by the way, is just like a bike lane. You know, they just like, they put a little card table in a bike lane. That's fine. It's got its own romance. It was a nice meal. We were happy to dine al fresco. But you know, that's like the first step. I went and got my hair cut. Because vanity never faileth.
Naturally.
I had to look good for my people.
I understand that.
Man, I feel like the barbershop was very responsible. So I'm okay with these incremental steps. I'm like, all right, fine. We tested out a little bit. I do feel like opening Disneyland, a Disney World, it just seems like the wrong note to strike.
Right. No, you're right.
I also wonder, most of the people who go to Disney, I mean, it's an international attraction. People who go to Orlando, anybody who's American knows you don't go to Orlando. You know, that's kind of, I mean, all apologies to our Orlando people, but Melanie is from Orlando, so she knows. She's the one who would tell us right away. But I mean, you know, once you go there, it's all theme parks. So I know they have a lot of international visitors.
Yeah.
And I know that there are a lot of, I mean, we don't really welcome. The borders are not what they once were in this world. We were slowly inching towards a borderless world. I think, you know, the European Union was the first step in that direction. And depending on who's president, you know, people like to open up North America a little bit. But this is really forced everybody to retreat to their national boundaries so that they can all get each other sick.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised the president hasn't capitalized on this and be like, yo, we don't need a wall. If we just have the most sick people in the world, no one will want to come here, legally or otherwise.
We do have the most sick people in the world.
Yeah, that could be part of the president's immigration policy. Could be, encouraging the spread of the virus to deter people from coming. And you know, with the economy tanking, far fewer people are willing to take the risks that entail coming into this country.
Travis asks, why is Russ in sunglasses and a cowboy hat? He went to work like this, apparently, or went out into the world like this.
I didn't go to work like this, and I didn't go out in the world like this. I wore this for the show. I wanted to look good, you know. It's a special event. The sunglasses were a last-minute addition because Eming reminded me that sometimes when we use video, I'm a little grainy. I don't have great light. So I brought a desk lamp and just blasted it in my face. But, I realized you can't really stare into that for an hour. So I put them on.
Definitely not a good idea.
As you'll notice, they are the Ray-Bans Brother Malcolms.
Shout out.
And, you know, the shirt and the hat. I mean, these are all legacy pieces. My dad was a musician. And when he would play gigs, you know, he was just like a T-shirt, cargo shorts kind of dad. You know, he didn't like to dress up for anything. But if you're going to be on stage, you want to look nice. So this was his gig shirt. And so when I found it in his closet after his funeral, I was like, you know what? This is a good thing to appropriate. So here I am. And now any guest who comes on and makes fun of the shirt, I can say, oh, it's my dead dad's. So who's the funny guy now? I actually planned that line. So I'm workshopping it now. I realize it's a little harsh, but
it is a little harsh.
Kind of mean. You know, I thought it would be a nice way to welcome somebody to the show. What's it mean to make fun of my shirt? Just because you're not fashion forward.
Oh, so you're fashion forward now.
I like to think so. Yes. And then the cowboy hat was, I feel like it goes so well with the shirt, but it is also a legacy piece because this is my great-grandfather, my Mexican great-grandfather. This is not his hat because, you know, he died 40 years ago, but this is the exact style of the hat that he used to wear. And it's regionally specific. He's from Guanajuato in Mexico near Celaya, and all the guys there wear this hat. So when I went to go visit, I told my mom I wanted to get a cowboy hat. She said, "Oh, you got to get one of these. That was, your grandpa Zeus used to wear that." So legacy pieces, people. These Brother Malcolms, my aunt found them at a bus stop. So that not as good a story, really. But,
Hey, things happen on buses. My parents met on a bus. So.
That's charming. Was it a Muni bus?
No, I think it was Samtrans.
Oh, Samtrans. That's so Filipino of you. It's a very Filipino love story. They met on Samtrans.
Travis said, "I hope this scene makes the biopic."
The biopic of my life, presumably.
Probably. I'm assuming that's what he.
I hope that's what he's referencing.
I mean, eventually it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah. If this scene, I mean, certainly there will be a biopic about me. I don't know that that's the question. There will be a biopic. I don't know if this scene makes the cut in my biopic. I probably haven't led a very dynamic life. I want things on the cutting room floor. I want people making my biopic and they're like, "Oh my God, he shot that guy in a duel." We can't fit it. There's too much other good stuff. That's
I'm
what
sure
I'm hoping for, anyway.
You'll have plenty of material at some point. I'm sure.
I'm working on it. By the way, shooting someone in the duel, Hamilton reference. Anyone? Nobody? I mean, I was surprised, people, for those who don't know, for our listeners and people who are watching, I was a guest on Geek Force. You may have also heard this episode. I've been trying to get on Geek Force forever. First of all, any Geek Force member is always welcome on Margin Call, even if it's the day of. If they call and say, "Hey, what are you guys talking about tonight? Can I come on?" Absolute red carpet, green light. Love you guys. Russell wants to go on Geek Force. He doesn't know enough. He hasn't watched the things that they're watching. His geek knowledge is
You're gonna spend this time bitching about that? Are you serious? That's what we're gonna put this call towards.
Listen, we've got a lot of time to fill, and I want to air my grievances. Here's my grievance.
I also, for the rest of us. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is my Festivus. A little early this year.
Okay.
Summertime Festivus. No, I just like the idea. I'm trying to stoke the flames of a sister podcast rivalry. You know what I mean? Like we all get along so well. I mean, I like all of them. I think they all like me. But wouldn't it be more fun if Geek Force and Margin Call had a little behind the scenes beef or something? Even if it were manufactured, I don't think Dr. Dre and Eazy-E actually had beef. I think they just kind of hyped it up so they could sell records.
I don't know how that would work because I'm on both of them, so I don't know.
Ooh, trapped in the middle.
I don't know what you're talking.
Choose now. Choose or lose. Choose your loyalties.
No.
Who's been with you from the start?
You mean of the creation of Queston or in life?
Well, let's start with the creation of Queston.
I can't do that. That's me.
The answer is me, so she doesn't want to answer it. Who's been here from the start of your life? I couldn't even make that claim.
Probably my parents.
Probably your parents. All right. Well, your parents are welcome on Margin Call anytime. I can't say the same for Geek Force. Your parents might have to watch, the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy before they come on the episode.
You will have to. I will say that. I'll be like, yes, go watch Lord of the Rings, the extended cut. And then then you can come on and talk about it.
Fine. And you know what? I actually respect that. There's some integrity there. You got to earn your spot. I'm joking. I love the Geek Force squad. You guys are great. And I really did have a good time.
Travis said Geek Force is a tough clique.
Yeah, Geek Force is a tough clique. They're like Mean Girls. You can't just sit down and have lunch at their table. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're talking about.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. I respect the vibe.
We've all worked together, so it's kind of like the same with you and me, and it's not the same, but it's similar.
I'll put it simply. I love Geek Force. Shout out to Geek Force. Big thanks to them again for having me on the show to discuss Hamilton. I felt a little bit bad that I was completely lost. I mean, luckily I had technical issues and I couldn't join them for the first half of the show.
You would have been like deer in the headlights.
I would have been completely lost. I mean, most things that they're talking about, I've usually at least heard of, and can chime in, the way that somebody's mom chimes in. I read something in the paper about, Hamilton, you know, like I can usually be like a grandma about like whatever pop culture thing they're discussing. But that one, I was totally lost. I mean, I've been out of the video game world for so long.
Yeah, I mean,
Never got into anime, unfortunately.
really not even like any
Well,
of
you
them.
know,
Oh,
uh, let's see.
trying to think of what I can recommend for you that's not like super dark.
I like dark things. I mean, I
You
did watch
do?
I watched a lot of Japanese animation when I was in juvenile hall because one of the
Mm,
counselors there was like a huge fan,
mm.
and he would bring it in. And they were a lot of fun. I loved watching them. And there was just one line that stuck. This is what I remember from watching Japanese animation. I think it was Fist of the North Star. Is that,
I
you
don't
ever
know
heard of
that
Fist of the
one.
North
No,
Star? All right.
Min might have. That sounds like
All
something
right.
older
It's
one.
old. It's old school. I mean, I was watching it in 96, you know, so I think it had been out for a long time, but,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure if anybody from Geek Force is listening or watching right now, I know I'm going to get dragged for this, for even mentioning Fist of the North Star. You're going to tell me why it doesn't count as whatever. I watched Japanese animation in juvenile hall when I was 15 years old. And, you know, kids in juvenile hall, what are we? We're teenagers. We're teenage boys. We're away from society. We latch on to what we want to. There was one line in there. I mean, it's all dubbed, obviously, right? So I don't know how faithfully they translate it. And there's a lot of funny stuff in the way that they translate it, you know,
Right.
especially if it's not faithful. And the people that they get to do the English voiceovers are often like kind of funny too.
Right.
So we were tickled, you know, the way that kids are. Anytime you experience something different, you're like, oh, this is new. I'm going to laugh and make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, we loved it because it was very violent. You know, it was really right up our alley. There was all kinds of beheadings and people getting dismembered and sword fights. Look it up, Fist of the North Star. But at one point, this guy beats somebody up savagely to a pulp, and the person was like trying to fight with a stick, you know, and the guy beats him up, and the person's on the ground, you know, bleeding out of their eyeballs or whatever. And then he reaches down to grab the stick from their hand, and he goes, "Give me the stick, you little bitch." And we rewound it, I don't know, 100 times. I'm not exaggerating. We didn't even watch the rest of the movie. We were just like, we got to hear this line again. Give me the stick, you little bitch. And then for the rest of the time, and you know, I was in juvenile hall that time, maybe a couple of months, whatever. The rest of the time I was there, that was like our favorite catchphrase. People, you didn't even have to have a stick in your hand. It would just be if somebody was doing something you didn't like, "Give me the stick, you little bitch." So I hope that is the quote that we use to promote the show tonight. Maybe that's what we could call it. Give me the stick, you little bitch.
It's workable.
I know the B word is loaded, but I don't think it was gendered in this instance because it was a man fighting a man. And, you know, who can say really? A lot to unpack there, folks. Feel free to chime in on how you feel about that catchphrase from a piece of Japanese animation from 30 years ago. So we'll
look it up.
We were in the midst of a very brief Disney conversation.
Yeah, we segued really hard.
That's what. Listen,
fine.
I tell people this very often, but when we were trying to think of a name for this show, we settled on Margin Call. I like it a lot, even though a lot of people think that it is about finance. That's okay. That's fine. We're not changing the name. We love the name. But one of the names that I suggested was Digressions Abound. Because the first few times we recorded, they were not about anything. It was the Seinfeld of podcasts. We just threw a bunch of people.
Kind of are.
We stay pretty focused. I like to think as a moderator, we have a topic, we do brief digressions. But I mean, there was nothing in the early days even to digress from. It was just like a digression verging from a digression. It's like we'd be small talking before we hit record. And then whatever we were talking about when we hit record was just the small talk had just continued. And who knows how long that could go on.
This is true. Well, you definitely got better at staying on topic, so bravo.
I mean, I've always had the ability to stay on topic. I just didn't think it was important until it was my job to write a headline for a podcast that didn't really have a point. It was gonna be the DJ Khaled podcast. Just every podcast, another one. But you know, headlines are important for marketing.
You would lose me so quick if you kept doing that. I'd be like, bye.
Yeah. Well, I guess in that case, you'll always be able to lord that over us. I'm out of here. You do something I don't like, I'm out of here. I'll just me and Geek Force are going out on our own. It's a better brand anyway.
I never said that.
No, but Geek Force,
different brands.
Geek Force it is very good in terms of like a niche. Like, you know exactly who your target market is. You can go to an advertiser and be like, hey guys, are you like selling anime dolls? You should advertise on our show. Are you selling a video game? Advertise on our show.
Travis
You know
says, I love our tangents.
See, and Travis is one of our best guests, I think, because
of course, love Travis.
Travis manages to balance those tangents. He's fully ready to embrace them. But he also just snaps right back in when it's time to transition back into whatever our topic was.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is very true.
I mean, it's very similar to having a conversation with Travis. You start off talking about one thing, meander for a while, and before you know it, you've snapped back around to your original subject. Travis is great on this show because he is a master conversationalist. Another big shout out to Travis. I hope his mouth isn't full of food.
I mean, he's still in the chat, so I don't know. From
his meal, but he is still in the chat. Wonderful. So we are expecting some pop-ins. We reached out to some of the PNS and New American Media All-Stars. We reached out to some Quest On staff. I know Amelia was on here briefly.
She's coming. Her dad called, so she'll be on afterwards.
Nice.
Whenever, I don't know when that is, but
nice. And Jordan, who we all know and love, did want to come on to have a continued conversation about Hamilton. He felt that there were some things that did not get said on the air. And
that you didn't say on air?
That nobody said.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the conversation. I was just a little surprised that, I suggested some things that could have been improved in the show. And, it seemed like kind of a scandalous, I was reading the room for a minute. I was like, oh, this is not a how could Hamilton be better conversation. This is wasn't Hamilton the greatest conversation, which is fine. I appreciate enthusiasm. I just feel bad because I was like, oh, now I'm the hater. Now I'm the guy who comes into a conversation and was like, I really liked Hamilton, but the one thing that I really feel like they could have, nitpicking.
Well, that's kind of what you bring to something. You bring a more broken down view of something. Like, if someone loves something, you're like, it's great, but blah, 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 blah. That's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to do that in a killjoy kind of a way. You know what I mean?
It wasn't a killjoy way. It was just you had a very different take. And I'm like I said, I forget that occasionally you have very different takes from things. Like remember our whole our one we did with talking about Us. I was very surprised you didn't like that movie. And we had that big ass debate about it for like an hour. And I was like, okay, we're different. Super different.
Well, you know what? Those conversations are actually parallel conversations, I feel, the Hamilton debate and the Us debate, because most of the defense of Us and most of the defense of Hamilton was a genre defense. It's like all the things you're saying, like that you're critical of Us, it's just like, this is a horror movie. Like, there are certain things that you accept about a horror movie because that's part of the genre, and you're an outsider being kind of nitpicky, which was for a lot of people, I think, the defense of Hamilton, which is like, yeah, you can't say a musical is corny because musicals are corny. That's the point of a musical.
Right.
And I understand that. But I think when we had our Us debate, I was like, oh, Get Out was great. I didn't think Get Out had the same problems that Us did. And that's also a horror movie. You can make a great horror movie, but I guess maybe that's too much to ask. To make a great horror movie.
We now have 5 people watching.
Oh, what's up? Can we shout anybody out? Wait, who's your friend from school, from elementary school?
His battery died. Cat's here.
Cat's here. Oh my God. Cat, if you're just tuning in, I'll bring you up to speed. We spent the last 10 or 15 minutes talking about
it. I hope you missed it.
Talking about Geek Force and my guest shot on Hamilton, and I was trying to start like a kind of a margin call Geek Force rivalry just for fun.
She says hi, Russell. Hi, Eaming.
All right, well,
bunch of eyes, wide eyes.
She can listen. Oh, it's probably because she's admiring my outfit.
She says yes. What have I missed? So much.
Well, you missed that I'm planning a Geek Force margin call rivalry, so buckle up. That's a joke. You can go back and listen. I just thought it'd be fun to spice things up. You know what I mean? Everybody likes a little rivalry, a little in-house rivalry. Just like Hamilton and Burr. You know?
She goes, LOL, yes, Geek Force for life with a Y.
See, great. She's in. She gets it. You know what I mean? She's not asking what's the rivalry about. She's just like, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it for the sake of doing it. Yeah. See, she's a fellow drama queen.
Oh, you going down, she says. Sorry.
See, this is what I'm looking for, man. This is what I need. You know
will
what we need to do?
him.
You know how Jimmy Kimmel always does that thing at the
Oh,
end?
with Matt Damon?
Our apologies to Matt Damon. We ran out of time. Maybe I could have a new sign-off.
No.
Like a Geek Force related sign-off.
Kat said, Eming, what side are you on? He already asked me that question. I didn't answer. I refused to answer that question.
She didn't answer, but her non-answer was Geek Force. That was her non-answer. Well, I wanted to force her to choose. I said, who's been with you from the start? And she said, fair. From the start of Quest or from the start of my life. I was like, that's it's splitting hairs. We know where your loyalty's like. That's fine. And then she said, and we all work together and we're all friends. We all love each other so much. And you're just this obnoxious contrarian in New York City. That's what she said, word for word. That's a direct quote, Kat.
I did not say that. I'm gonna roll the tape back live to prove
it's a good line.
I didn't say that.
It's a good line. If you didn't say it, you should have.
She says, "Yay, Eming is on the right side of history."
See, I knew Kat would get it. See, totally unspoken. I love it.
I didn't even say anything. God, y'all are ridiculous.
This is how it works. You're trapped in the middle. It's like, kids, children of divorce. You know what I mean? Like, now you have to choose. Who are you going to live with? Are you going to live with me or your dad? So now here you are. You're, a grown woman, a fully adult woman.
This is dumb.
And you're being put in the midst of.
They're both from the same damn tree, Russell. I suggested we create margin call. I suggested we bring on Kat to make a podcast. It's the same thing, just different people.
Now we're coming back
to
you being the brainchild of it all. No, that's
I will say sort of.
Wow.
Margin call was my idea originally, so.
Wow.
Don't wow me. I know how this rolled. Okay.
I don't know. I seem to recall Melanie Feliciano was the first person to suggest that we have a Google Hangout meeting. And while we were having a Google Hangout meeting, she said we could record it and air it as a podcast.
You really want to do that right now?
I was in the room where it happened.
You really want to do that?
The Zoom where it happened.
Really, Russell?
The Zoom where it happened.
All right, fine. I choose Geek Force.
Wow. I knew I'd get it out of you. I knew I'd get the truth out of you. Hey, can I just linger very quickly on the line, the Zoom where it happened? Has anybody else used that yet? Because I'd like to start using that all the time.
If you want to, go ahead.
The Zoom where it happened. The Zoom where it happened.
Where Russell burnt his bridge to Eming. Yeah, okay.
In the Zoom where it happened. The Zoom where it happened. Yeah, I mean, we can start recasting Hamilton right now if you want with us. I think we started to do that on Geek Force.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhat.
Sort of. It kind of got derailed.
Yeah. Well, I told you Sophia's already decided that she's King George.
Why?
Just because he's a freaky weirdo and he has like a show-stopping number, She's free, she's a Broadway kid. She grew up dancing and singing, and she was, that was her life. That was her trajectory. Still, even now, a true triple threat.
Kat thinks you're King George.
Wow. Now it sounds like an insult.
Damn, shots fired.
When
and then
Sophia
the rivalry began.
That's how it started. Yeah.
Yep.
This was the Zoom where it happens. The Zoom where it happens. She said, I'm King George. Fine. I'll take it. I mean, we all know I'm Hamilton, but
this is the weirdest episode we've done so far.
I'm here for it. Well, strange things happen when you got a vamp, dude. This is a full filibuster
it's fun, episode. But it's also hella weird.
Yeah. Why don't you put Kat on blast and tell her why she's not using the call-in number? That's what I want to know.
She said, "Hey, I will not throw away my shot." I don't know why she's. I don't know. I don't know.
Worst song in the show.
Ooh, see, this is why you get greeted with such hostility when you talk shit. This is
I
why.
can't say that it's okay. Sorry, it is not the strongest number in the show.
Oh, because she's gaming, she said.
That's a good excuse. Wow, this is some really impressive multitasking. Gaming,
I
uh,
mean, it's
live stream watching. I
just
couldn't.
on
I couldn't
Facebook.
handle all that.
Well,
I'm
she
easily
has
distracted.
skills.
I can't even read a book on the train. Like if something's happening near me, I need to just watch that. I'm like the dog in Up. Every time a squirrel goes by, you know. But squirrels are,
You that
talking about the dog and Up.
yeah, yes. I can see it. Wasn't his name? No. Oh
The
no.
kid's name was Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid's name was Russell.
I think I remember laughing because that was Russell, and then there was something named Kevin, and I was like, how random. Like,
Yeah.
of course it's called. Of course, there was Russell and Kevin.
Although I do, if we're talking about like who my Pixar character would be, I do much more strongly identify with Wally.
Why?
I got a real, kind of like loner streak in me, man. You know what I'm saying? In a nice way, I like spending time alone. I think that's part of the reason I'm a writer. There's no other people around. It's like The Shining. Like Jack Nicholson he's a nice guy, wants to hang out and just write a book, and his family keeps driving him crazy, and he has no choice but to, try to kill them with an axe. This analogy does not have wheels here. It doesn't end well for me in this analogy.
Who are you gonna try to kill?
I just think I'm not going to try to kill anybody. It's just really just the first 20 minutes of The Shining, I guess.
Okay.
Don't watch the rest, guys. Doesn't end well.
That works.
Apologies to our listeners if you hear any buzzing. That is my dishwasher.
I'm sure they're fine with it.
Entering the heating cycle. Hey, have we tried any ASMR on here, by the way?
Oh my God. No.
Are you into ASMR?
Is he confusing to a crime?
ASMR. Wait, ASMR.
My kids would try to back when school was still happening. My kids because I bought them like some cheap stuff to film with, and they wanted to do that, and I was like, what? I guess I don't know. I didn't really understand it at the time. I still don't get it, but they were really into it.
So you're not into it. You're not an ASMR.
Not what they were doing. I haven't actually. I think I've seen a couple and I kind of get it, but I don't like go looking for it on YouTube if that's what you mean.
Well, I think it's before we started recording, just so our listeners know, we did have a conversation about anxiety and CBD and stuff like that, and I think ASMR is for people who have anxiety, it chills you out, right?
Right. I guess so. For some
I think
people.
the only one I've seen actually watched the whole thing was the Cardi B one.
Oh.
Have you seen any Cardi B ASMR?
I think I did a long time ago.
Well, she's very good at it because she has a good voice, but it was also the first time I saw it, it was a new staff member at my job. We have we have like weekly meetings, and people facilitate each week, and you can bring something in. Some people would do like a meditation or some kind of something everybody would share.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, I'm really into ASMR, so I'm going to show, and we're going to watch an ASMR video together." He was brand new at the time. Very cool guy. I like him a lot.
Right.
And he brought in the Cardi B ASMR video. It is very sexual. Not explicitly, but the microphone is very phallic, and do you know what I mean? There's just it serves the full ASMR function. It's perfect, and it's right in her wheelhouse of what you would imagine like a Cardi B ASMR to be. But if you're new at a job and you're asked to bring something or for your weekly meeting, for the meditation at the beginning, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. But I could tell our supervisor, I think, felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was you have to have really good sound quality, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wear headphones for ASMR.
Your mic would probably be good for that.
That's why I asked.
Oh God, why did I even say that?
I do kind of like the one where they're playing with plastic and stuff like that. Like when they're like someone with long fingernails is like unzipping like a little like vinyl cosmetic bag.
I don't know about that, but
Well, just
okay, I
those
get it.
the little sounds
I
of like
know. I understand.
acrylic nails. That part of it, I kind of get it. It's freaky, man. It's freaky, but millions of people can't be wrong.
Uh, yeah, they can.
I guess you're right. I guess
I mean, if
yeah.
history is any indication of that, that's definitely a
It's
thing.
true. I guess you could say that about the president, right?
That's I didn't want to. I didn't want to say his name, but that's what I'm referring to.
That's true. We should stop saying that. I think was it Elvis? Somebody was whoever coined that. I think it was a pop star, and I think it was Elvis. 50 million fans can't be wrong, is what it is.
Oh,
But 50 million people can definitely be wrong, and it happens all the time. Germany in the 30s.
that too.
Yeah.
Germany. It's another
Plenty,
good
plenty
example.
of plenty of examples. I know, it's a long time ago, guys. For our German listeners, I'm not trying to bring up Nazi stuff, but we're just using examples of how millions of people can all really be very, very wrong about something. And now I've compared ASMR to National Socialism, everybody. So buckle up. Welcome to Margin Call. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. For those who are just tuning in, that's my
Turning in.
that's my yeah, I guess they could be turning in as well. For those of you who are just tuning in, that's my Bill O'Reilly impression from when he was the host of A Current Affair. If you haven't seen that video, it's one of my viral faves. It was making the rounds about 15 years ago. Whatever happened to Bill O'Reilly anyway? he seemed like a nice enough guy. Yeah, he got full on legit ass canceled. Oh, are you replaying it?
Sorry, I was trying to check something and I my volume was up.
I really liked, for our listeners who didn't hear that, Yming was doing a little bit of playback, and all you could hear was Germany in the 30s.
Sorry, my bad.
So we could use that also as our quote for the show. Maybe at the end, like on The Simpsons, at the end of the episode when they put Gracie Films up there, there's always like some line from the episode that they play. Like these. Wait, what is it? This. wait, my cat's breath smells like cat food. Like that.
Wait, hold on. Kat said he's dead inside. Kat, what are you talking about?
Who's dead inside?
Russell's dead inside? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what she's referring to.
I think she's trying to advance the rivalry. I think she said anyone who would criticize Hamilton must certainly be a soulless monster.
No, that was a minute ago. That can't be about Hamilton.
All right.
I don't know. Shrug.
Elvis? Maybe Elvis is a
or Trump? I don't know.
Elvis, Trump. We made a lot of controversial references.
Bill O'Reilly. Him.
Oh yeah, I forgot. What a trifecta, man. Elvis, Trump, and Bill O'Reilly. Eventually all three of them will be hanging out in the afterlife together. Can't we imagine? What are they, shoveling coal?
Possible.
I wonder what happens if you go to hell and you're like a Fox News person. Like what kind of special hell does
you get a suite and it's right by the hottest part of wherever it is.
No, I feel like Satan is more clever than that. He's always trying to design punishments that are like specifically things that you would hate. You know what I mean? Like my room in hell, I would have to, watch Cats like every day, all day. That would be one of my. By the way, are you a fan of Cats?
The play?
Yeah, the music.
We did a version of it for my elementary school. So I know some of the songs, sort of, but I took offense to your comment about the other one that you kind of dissed.
Phantom of the Opera that I said.
Yeah, because that was my first one that I went to. So I was just like, everything was just like, oh my god, this is amazing! Everything's flashing and falling and screaming and da da da. And it was really, I thought it was just really intense. I remember feeling like I was falling at one point. So I was like, ooh, this is
well, how old were you?
I don't remember. That's why it's like a blur in the back of my head.
You were probably like 5 or something, and all you remember is the chandelier crashing in the ground.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, okay.
But it was still cool. I still enjoyed it.
That's fine. I mean, I guess I should have qualified that by saying it was a full-on value judgment. I just thought.
Kat says the butthole version, Russell.
There's a butthole version of
Yeah, so there's, I don't know if this is an actual thing, but so the movie Cats, you know how it was panned worldwide because it was
I do.
not
I
good. So
do.
there's supposedly, or they're asking for a butthole version of like where they would CGI buttholes onto all the characters, and I don't know if it exists or not, but they were asking for it at some point in time.
Now, were these fans of the film who thought this movie is perfect, but you know, there's one thing that would make it better if we could CGI some cat buttholes onto the
I,
anthropomorphic cats.
I don't know.
So was the problem that they didn't have buttholes and people thought like, oh, this is really messing with my suspension of disbelief of these singing and dancing cats?
I guess so. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
it was a bad movie overall, but I think they were like, where's the butthole version? Where's the butthole edit?
Well,
I
for
don't
anybody out there who's listening, if you have inside information on the butthole version of Cats, the musical movie, do call in and share because we're looking for more. We're outsourcing it. We're sending this out to our listeners. An urgent plea. I mean, I'm sure it'll just be the first thing that comes up when you type it into a Google search, but you know, you would have to do. I mean,
I'm sure.
certainly it's on Pornhub for sure.
I don't need that
What?
image. I don't need that image in my head right now.
Oh, grow up.
No, never.
Grow up.
I don't want to grow up.
We're all adults here. We can talk about
Are we?
a pornographic version of Cats the Musical where all the cats have buttholes. Can we use that line as the line, like the audio that we used to tease the episode?
There's too many to count at this point, Russell. You just keep popping out with something new every couple minutes.
That's what she said.
There's no short.
Guys, you had to know if we weren't going to have guests and we weren't going to have a topic, it was going to take a lot of twists and turns. And here we are. You're welcome, America. It's just occurring to me now that we've mentioned the trifecta of kind of like, conservatives. Although I guess it's not really fair to lump Elvis into that. I don't know very much about Elvis's politics. Maybe some of our listeners do, but we've mentioned Bill O'Reilly. We've mentioned Trump. I just want to mention another guy. I realized sitting in front of this microphone wearing a cowboy hat, I got some Imus vibes. I'm realizing that you can't just be a guy wearing a cowboy hat in front of a microphone without channeling Don Imus, who's really not the person you want to channel. So, food for thought, guys. Feel free to take this picture. Just screen cap this, and you can put, Don Imus 2020.
This is gonna live on Facebook for a while, so don't worry.
I'm cool with that, man. We'll just keep sending the link. I think people will be amused.
It will get watched throughout time,
and that's what I'm here for. I just, give the people
and if we
what they
keep
want.
doing this, I'm sure there'll be plenty more.
Well, speaking of call-ins, we're due.
I think I just missed one. I just saw something move, but I wasn't looking at it, so I don't know who it was.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at a lot of things, so I might not see everything that happens. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I only have two eyes.
I just sent a message and I said, we're ready for you.
If you're ready, come and get it.
And Amelia has the info. All right. So the topic now, if you are going to call in, we're only accepting calls for people who have information about a new version of Cats, the musical film, in which buttholes have been CGI'd onto the characters. I mean, I guess that's a little bit limiting. Let me change that. We're accepting calls from anyone. Anyone who wants to call in and chat, give us a shout out. If you've been on the show before, if you're a listener, what I really wanted tonight, what I was really hoping for, maybe someone can help this dream come true. I really wanted someone to call and say, hi, long-time listener, first-time caller. That's all I want. Guys, we got 15 minutes. Make my day. Don't you want to make young Don Imus happy?
Amelia just tried it, but I didn't see her. Okay, so I think she's gonna try, or maybe I don't know. We'll see. Well, sir, where's your cousin, Jordan?
I just sent him a message right now. I said, "We're ready for you!" Exclamation point. So we'll see. He said this was his time, 10:45 Eastern.
Okay.
Because he did actually have a nice little think piece about Hamilton. based on his text message alone, he had some issues. I mean, I'm interested. He's a rapper.
Yeah.
He's like an underground
I
rapper.
understand that.
He cares very much about hip hop. He thinks about lyricism all day long. I mean, much more. I would say more than a rapper. He's a
hold
lyricist.
on. Sorry.
Hit me.
415.
I'll take a 415 call. Listener, you're on the air. Oh, it was a psych out.
Oh, no.
Listener,
Hold on. Hello?
You're on the air? Oh, my goodness. Who are you and where are you calling from?
I'm Amelia. I'm calling from Harlem.
Yeah, we got Amelia from Harlem on the line.
I get to ask a question?
You do.
Yes.
Ask anything you want.
Whoa. Well, what were you guys sharing about? I want to get in on this.
Buttholes, unfortunately.
Well, just right now, we were talking about Cats, the movie musical, and how people wanted them to make a new version where they CGI'd buttholes onto the characters. But you don't have to ask about that. We've also been discussing Hamilton. We talked about Disney World reopening. We talked a little bit about Bill O'Reilly. We talked about Don Imus. We talked about the idea of 50 million people can be wrong, and they have been many times before.
Yes.
But feel free to ask anything you like. Oh, and since you are calling, I assume you're not watching on Facebook Live. Is that correct?
I'm not.
Okay, good, because it's very important that you know that I'm wearing an embroidered Western shirt. And
yeah, he dressed up for this.
And a cowboy hat from Guanajuato, Mexico, which I purchased when we went to go visit my grandfather's hometown many years ago. Very cool hat.
Wow.
And sunglasses, Ray-Bans to be exact. The brother.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll take a screen cap and send it to you. But I just thought it was very important that you knew who you were talking to.
Don't worry, Millie. You'll see this on Instagram at some point.
Oh my gosh, amazing! I'm so excited. Well, I do actually have a question because I was talking to my friend about this, and it's not as light as the Cats, but we were just talking about the upcoming, November election.
Ooh,
and how, yes, light topic.
So light.
It's just like chilling, and kind of like, we're just really, always forever concerned about voter suppression, but even more so. So
are you saying?
Any tips?
Well, I'm wondering, are you saying you and your friend are more concerned about voter suppression now because it'll be difficult for people to get to the polls because of COVID-19 and a lot more people will be using absentee ballots and it's easier? Yeah, I think that's a very valid concern. I thought about this today because I heard on the radio a very specific example of the number of ballots in New York City from the recent primary that weren't counted because they were received late. But they were received late by no fault of the voter, right? I mean, this is a very new system.
Right.
Using this many absentee ballots is a stress on the system. But it was a significant number. I don't want to quote it on the air because I might be wrong, but it was tens of thousands of people whose ballots weren't counted as a result. I think it's a very real concern. And anytime we have concerns about national elections, local elections, it's so hard to try and conceptualize like what that solution would look like because every jurisdiction has its own means for tabulating votes. We ran into this in 2000, of course, with the Bush-Gore election because we got an up-close personal look at the different counties of Florida and how some people had these archaic systems that made it really hard for people to know who they were actually voting for. But this specific issue, I share your concern, Amelia.
Yeah.
I wish that I had an answer to give about how we could all feel safer. One thing is certain, this will not be like any other national election that we've had before, right? We're not going to do what we always do, which is go stand in line, go to the gym of your local public middle school and stand in line, say hi to your neighbors, which is sad in its own way because I actually really like voting in person, even when you have to wait in line, just because it feels like very communal, and it's really the only civic act that we are asked to perform, other than jury duty, I guess. But I actually kind of like jury duty too, but that's a different topic. um, so there's that one aspect where it is a little, there's a sadness there. But of course, you have to make sure that people are healthy and make sure that people feel safe, even in places where it is safe. You just can't have that many people in a room. I agree with you. I don't think there are enough people talking about this right now. And I don't think that there are enough people in an official capacity who are kind of flagging this anywhere, to be honest. I mean, it would be unfair to say, oh, the DNC really needs to be proactive about it. It's like everybody needs to be proactive. It doesn't matter who you're voting for. Your vote needs to be counted.
Right.
And I think people should really be thinking about what those creative solutions might be. I initially thought that it would be absentee ballots. I think like a lot of people, it's like, okay, fine, we'll just have more people voting absentee than usual. But what I heard today about the New York City primary election was alarming. Tens of thousands of people, especially in a New York City primary vote. That's a lot of people. So what are you planning to do election day, Amelia?
This is such a great question. I mean, I'm thinking about this too, because when I left college, I went to college in Ohio. So then for like a hot second there, I was still voting in Ohio because I was like, well, my vote really counts out there. And, but there were just so many issues with absentee ballots. Like, it was so difficult. They made it so difficult to vote. And I ended up, switching my vote to New York, which, I should do anyway. But I mean, personally, I most likely, while being very social distance and wearing a mask and, all of those things, I would like, stating, just because I'm over the phone, but I'm a younger person, not that that's, any sort of immunity at all. But I most likely will actually, I'm still thinking about it, but I'm thinking I would actually go in person. My voting place is a block away from me, but only because I honestly don't trust that they will count my absentee ballot. Like, especially with how difficult it was even just a few years ago, and how much voter suppression is a major thing. Like, even though like we have just so much voter suppression, obviously, so I really don't trust that they would count my absentee ballot. But
that's a very real concern, and I think a very important anecdotal piece of information. I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people feel the same way. And it is alarming, I think, that people are having to choose between having their vote count and their personal health.
Right.
Which I think is kind of what it comes down to,
Right.
And I don't think anybody should have to be put in that position. So excellent question, Amelia, all-star. That was so good. You really managed to focus. You made a show out of this.
Thank you for making us not sound like juveniles the last 45 minutes, Amelia. You brought us back to reality. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Great. Thanks for coming on, Amelia. We appreciate it. Call back anytime. We love you.
Anytime?
Yes, anytime I will. Bye.
All right. Bye, Amelia.
Bye.
Well, Yiming, let me just say, that was delightful. That is exactly what I wanted to happen. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting most people to call and say, yo, you look like Don Imus, and then hang up, which I also would have liked.
Well, I'm sorry
that was good.
Didn't happen.
Classic Amelia coming through with a very poignant question.
She's the more mature out of the three of us, for sure.
She is. She is the more mature, and she's at least 10 years younger.
Yes.
Probably more, I think. Yeah, but we know that. I mean, Amelia, for those who didn't hear the episode, Amelia was our guest on the show, the most recent Margin Call episode that's actually up on the site now. And she was our only guest because she had really a fascinating story about her father and the criminal justice system. And in the context of that story, we're asking, oh, you had so many difficult things going on in your life when you were a teenager. How did you make it through? And she said, oh, well, I always knew I was going to be big time. Those weren't her exact words, but she was like,
say that word.
She did. She didn't say big time, but Amelia said, like, she said, I always knew I was going to make something out of my life. I always knew I was going to do something big. And we have an incredible amount of faith in Amelia. I hope one day that I can risk my personal health to go to my local polling place to cast a vote for Amelia in an election. I think it's in our future.
I would do that for sure.
In fact, I'd be more surprised if it didn't happen.
We may have to delete that episode though.
Why might we have to delete it? All right, we can talk about this offline. I want to make sure we give room for any people who have what we call burning desires. Any burning desires out there? It can be related to the Cats musical, or Hamilton, or to the upcoming election, or absentee voting, or people who just want to call and say hi.
Do you want to give your cousin one more poke?
I'll give Jordan a shout out. I'm gonna say last chance, and he's gonna say, "Oh, my bad, I fell asleep."
I gave my cousin the link, but she hasn't been feeling good, so she's like, next time. I'm like, okay,
that's fine. Yeah, next time. Because get used to it, listeners. This is going to be happening a lot more often. I might bow to the pressure from Eming and have a little bit more of a structure for the show, okay? But since this is our first one,
I didn't say anything about structure. I told you I was fine with this.
Would you be happy to keep going forward and doing this exactly the same every time we do this? I think what you said was you would leave. I think those were the words.
No.
Or no, you would have left Margin Call if we had stayed, if we had continued to do it the way that we started.
I mean, if we kind of did it willy-nilly all the time, yeah, I would have left. That's a waste of my time.
No, it's not. There was gold in those episodes. Go back and listen to those episodes. They were great.
I'm not saying they weren't good. I'm just saying, like, I have a vision and I want to head that direction.
You are.
That's all. No,
You're just like Amelia. You always knew you were going to be big time.
Yeah, working with you still. Not a burn.
Not a burn?
I don't know how
that could be interpreted.
I don't know. Let's figure it out later.
Yeah, just like I'm King George is not a burn.
Kat says LOL
Well, now we know she's on the Geek Force side. She's here repping.
Never mind. I'm not gonna get this movie right now.
Trying to sink the USS Margin Call. That's all right. That's fine. We've got an infiltrator, and she's our producer, so we're doomed.
Lord. I love Margin Call. It's my first child. Okay.
Yay!
I never said I didn't.
Wait, can we use that audio as the pull audio? I love Margin Call.
I do love Margin Call. Kat says, LOL, yep, King George.
I mean, I will just say, now that we know that we have Kat's ear, King George is the only unambiguous villain in that show. Even though his number is great, it's not a favorable comparison. But you know what? I love that song so much that I'll take it. Fine. If this is what the people want, I will get a TikTok account and I will go on and perform as King George.
Kat says, is Geek Force America and Margin Call England? Is Eming Lafayette?
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know.
Who would Eming be?
I'd probably be dead, honestly.
Like, I'm cool. Yeah, I don't want any part of this revolution.
I'm like, yeah, I'm.
But of the people in the show, listen, you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm getting big Eliza vibes. Okay, I'm getting big Eliza vibes.
Why?
I don't know. I just think it would be a good role for you. I think you could really inhabit that, role of like a tortured, put upon, overlooked.
Burning all your letters, bitch. You cheated on me. I'm gonna destroy everything you own.
Yes. I wasn't gonna use the word bitter, but I'll use it now. A bitter woman. I could see. There was
woman.
I don't see you as a bitter. You see me as King George, a tyrant.
That was Kat. Why are you? I'm reading what she said. She said King George is MAD, mad.
MAD, mad. That's true. He's unwell. What he really needed was a mental health intervention. And instead, here we are villainizing him all these years later. King George for life, y'all. I'm a loyalist.
Yeah. Well, then Kat called it right. If Margin Call is England.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, that's true because you guys need your independence, man. I'm seeing the analogy is deep.
Oh my god.
The analogy is so deep. Oh my god.
This is too much. I think this fake Geek Force margin call rivalry is just too much for me at this point. I'm calling it.
Listen,
there is no rivalry.
I only have one thing to say to you guys, all right? With all this talk of Geek Force independence.
Oh god.
You'll be back.
I could have taken my headphones off before you did that.
Oh my God, Kat wants me to sing. I know she does. Kat is hammering at her keyboard. Sing the whole thing.
I'm pretty sure she's not.
Yeah, I know you guys dumping your tea in the sea when you see me walk by. I know. I already know.
Kat says, "LOL, what have I done?" Yes, Kat. Yes, this is what it's like. Welcome.
No, don't change the subject.
Welcome to Quest.
You're my favorite subject.
We're not your subjects.
Subject.
Nope.
Yeah, I like this, man. You know what? This analogy is great.
No.
No.
Bad analogy. It's a horrible analogy.
Listen, all of my analogies are bad, okay? It's part of the show.
Oh, Lord. Who wants Russell to sing? Kat says.
I assume that's a rhetorical question, as if
looks around.
As if to say, nobody wants Russell to sing. Ugh, that's awful. All right. In that case, you leave me no choice but to sing the whole number. and that's how we'll end our show tonight. You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay.
I know all the lyrics already.
You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Is that right?
I don't know all the lyrics.
Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. That's not the right melody.
No.
Now you're making me mad. Is that right?
I think so.
Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back.
It has left the chat. She's done.
I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Everybody! No, I'm not going to do it. I won't do it, all right?
No, I think us doing this live gives you more something. I don't know. Something happens when you're like in front of hecka people. I don't know what it is. I think it's the performance thing. Like you become less journalist, more like, hey, everybody. It's just not bad, but it just seems
I love a crowd, okay?
I know. I'm aware. I get it. It's fine.
Now, you know what's going to happen now is Sophia's going to listen to this. She's going to say, that was a terrible rendition of You'll Be Back. That's all she's going to say. She's going to listen to the whole thing. She's not going to care about cats' buttholes. She's going to gloss over that whole thing. Voter suppression, all she's going to say is...
Well, it's quite a hodgepodge. I'll give you that.
Well, I was piecing it together. I've only seen it once, so...
Well, you know quite a bit of the lyrics, in spite of that fact.
It's a catchy number.
Fine, I'll give you that.
Will you sing it with me?
I don't think I want that recorded, honestly.
You don't want it recorded?
Myself singing? No, I'm not a good singer. I'm not a good singer.
Well, neither am I, and here I am.
Better than I.
Oh, you're just being humble.
No, I'm not. I know how my voice sounds. It is not that good.
All right, well, I'll practice, and once, COVID is finally over, we'll all go out to karaoke together to celebrate Geek Force and Margin Call.
What's going to happen is that when we finally host our damn party that we haven't been able to host in it's going to be a year.
COVID. It was COVID.
That's when we're gonna bust out the microphones, and then you're gonna sing the King George to Kat in the same room.
I will serenade
when you come to the city.
With
Kat, you ready? Kat, you ready?
You have my word. With all of our listeners as witnesses. I will serenade Kat with this song. Okay, just so everybody knows.
I can't wait. It's on tape. It's recorded. It's
Yeah,
proof.
I'm not going back on that. I don't welch on any bets.
I believe you.
Yeah. I also, really quickly before we get out of here, I was hoping Jordan would come on because he did have some things to say about Hamilton. Couldn't make it. That's fine.
Always next time.
But another reason I wanted Jordan to come on is because I have an idea for a song for him, which I think would be a good kind of like gag song. Something like, you remember that song? Because I got high. You know,
Yeah.
I was going to go to work, but then I got high.
Right.
Okay. Everybody loved that song because people
Yes.
love a gag song. I think that guy was a one-hit wonder, but he was a genius because he had a good idea for a song. I want to do something like that, but I want to call it Blame COVID, because I just started noticing everybody in my personal life and in my professional life, whenever they're slacking, whenever they flake on something, it's always a COVID excuse. I'm tired of COVID excuses, man. There's some COVID excuses that are valid, some COVID excuses that are not, and we got to start parsing those out, man. So I think the first step in addressing this very serious social issue is to get Jordan, aka Acoustics, to write a joke song for us about blaming all of his problems on COVID. So Jordan, I put it out there. It's your idea now. We can talk about it when you come back on the show. Any burning desires before we get out of here? It is now 11:08 p.m. Eastern time. We've gone over a little bit to allow for any last minute callers that we might get.
I don't know, but I like this and I want to do it again.
I like it too. I would ask for those of you who are tuned in, and
Kat.
even if you listen to this later or you watch it later on Facebook or whatever, let us know what you think.
Tell us if you liked it or
give us
hated
ideas
it. Thought we were dumb and stupid. We talked about cat buttholes for 20 minutes.
Can we use
See,
that?
That's me singing. That's how bad it sounds.
It really doesn't sound that bad. It sounds like
good.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Actually, you've got a bit of a Lin-Manuel kind of a.
You didn't like him either. First you call me bitter, then you compare me to someone that you don't like how they sing. Russell, you are just striking out.
I feel like you said a lot of plenty of cruel things to me tonight. I think they offset at this point.
Did I? I don't know. I feel like you said more.
There was one that was so harsh that you were like, "Oh, that wasn't a burn." Remember that?
It wasn't though. I had to
there's no other way to interpret it.
It wasn't a burn. Oh, whatever.
All right. To our listeners, whether you're live or listening to this later on, let us know what you think. Go on our Facebook page. Go on our Instagram page. Quest on Media. Listen, we're live, okay? I certainly don't think you're in a position to be calling people out if you just trip around on a couple words, all right?
I will call.
Do you want me to start doing the same thing to you? I don't think it's very nice. Go on our Instagram page or Facebook. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Margin Call is our show page. Quest on Media is our website. There's a lot of good content on there right now. And of course, Geek Force. Big shout out to our sister show, Geek Force.
Nothing but love.
Who will burn in hell?
Stop it.
They'll be back.
Funny.
They'll be back. Eventually we'll be able to do a full rendition of Hamilton, just replacing Geek Force. I guess that means I would have to be King George, and then Marlon, I assume, would be Hamilton. We'll talk out the details later, but
Kat says, "We live, we out here." Margin Call out. Russell drops mic.
A fine suggestion. Okay, thanks to everybody who listened tonight. This was actually a really fun experiment. Special shout out to Amelia for calling in with a question that was so shockingly on point. I wasn't even prepared for it. But that's what Amelia does. Vote for, Amelia 2028. Is that too soon? Amelia 2036. Whenever she's on the ballot, cast your vote for
Campaign for her.
We love her. We'll focus all of our energies to campaigning for her when the time inevitably comes. Shout out to everybody who is listening on Facebook Live. Shout out to anybody who tried to call and didn't get in because this is our first time doing it. And a very special shout out to our producer, Eming. This was your brainchild, and I think it really paid off. I had a lot of fun. I think that this is a format that we can really inhabit in the future. And who knows, we might even have topics on a future show. No promises.
Aside from buttholes, yeah.
No promises, listeners. Well, the buttholes will always show up. They're the new Drake. Drake is a cat butthole.
Oh, you had to sneak that one in, didn't
And
you?
with that, I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. Mic drop.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes. Sincerely, thanks to our producer, Amy. This was a blast. This was a great idea. We're gonna do it again, whether you like it or not, listeners. No, I'm just kidding. If everybody says they hate it, then we'll have to at least
I'm
think
sure
about
that's
doing
not
it
the
again.
thing. I'm sure that's
But
not
we
the
will be playing with these formats again. It's a good time, especially now that everything is happening in the Zoom where it happened. The Zoom where it
Kat
happened.
says, shout out to Ray-Bans.
Shout out to Ray-Bans. Yes, thank you. I'm wearing my brother Malcolm's, as I mentioned earlier. They are shielding the intense glare from this light that Eaming advised that I put up here. Although I will say it makes a big difference. I'm looking pretty good in this light. Although if I take these off,
All the details of your shirt are visible. All of it.
yeah, see, and that's what I'm here for, is to show off my.
It can live out forever on Facebook.
Now I have to get a whole new series of outfits for every time. This is wonderful. It's an excuse to shop.
That's
Next
nice.
time I'll come on as King George. Okay, next time, King George. All right.
Oh
Eaming?
God. Oh God.
Okay. Usually my intros are long-winded. This is a long-winded outro. Welcome to Facebook Live, Margin Call Edition.
We don't make no goddamn sense, but we trying. It's cool.
That is our tagline. All right. Thanks to everybody who hung with us through this experiment. We had a really good time. Thanks again to Amelia and Kat. You know, Kat was really kind of a guest here, technically. I'm going to give Kat a shout out for being our guest at a distance. And Travis.
Travis, woo! See you tomorrow, Travis.
Travis, we'll see you tomorrow in our Zoom, and I hope that you have a good time tonight, whatever that entails. It was a very good excuse.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm not saying anything.
My brain is clean. There's
Yes.
nothing there. Literally.
Yes, you're very chaste. A very chaste young
Totally.
mind.
Yep. Super.
All right. All of our listeners, we love you. Thanks for hanging with us. Until next time, Quest on, everybody.